G'day viewers, Michael Kalinovski here, and I'm here with a property expert and conveyancing expert, Judy Feeney from Mango Conveyancing. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Judy's here to share with us what to do when we're getting ready for sale. So particularly to the vendors, if they're asking those questions, I don't know what to do, how do I go about it? Judy's here to enlighten us on what you should do, take steps, and just simplify the process, I guess. Judy?
Thank you. Look, when you're selling a property, the first thing you need is a contract. So you need to find a reputable person who knows quite a bit about conveyancing so that we can prepare that contract for you. You need to find a good agent to ensure that they're going to act in your best interest. Once you've identified what you want in a price, you've also perhaps touched your house up a little bit and done the garden and cleaned up and made it a presentable showcase for showing it so that you can obtain your best price.
Yeah.
The best way would be to contact a solicitor. They then prepare a contract. There are specific documents that you need in a contract to make a contract valid. So once that contract is prepared, it then gets sent to the agent that you've nominated. That's all you really need to do to start with. Then the agent will go and find an appropriate purchaser. Once the purchaser has been identified and there's been an acceptance and an offer, then your contract becomes exchanged. It's at that time that you really need to think there's some negotiations that will happen. Sometimes you can even get a pre-building and pest inspection report and you can attach it to the contract, and that makes it a lot easier for the purchasers coming in. An alternative method of selling your property as well would be by auction, in which then when you prepare the contract it's a little bit different, because with a contract for auction it's an unconditional contract on exchange at the day of auction. So in preparing yourself to sell your house, the first step you need is a good agent and a good conveyancer or solicitor.
Excellent. And just to speed up processes, what documents would they have to produce to the solicitor or conveyancer just so they can help them streamline the process as well?
We need everybody's name who is on the title of your property, the full street address, and that's about it, and your agent's name. And we can do all the other searches that we get from the land titles office, and we can put together. What's important too, if you know that you have refurbished or renovated your property in the last 7 years, you need to notify us. If, for example, you needed approval from the council, you would have a letter from council saying that it's been approved, an approved structure, and it's then that you obtain that information and bring it along as well. Then once the contract is complete, then you're ready to go.
Excellent. Some great advice there, thank you. Now, what advice would you give to the purchasers when they're going to a purchase for their home or the investment property due to auction process or through a private treaty?
It's very different. Being a purchaser is very different to being a vendor. Firstly, you would have known your market area. You've made an offer with the agent. Foremost, please ensure that your finance is approved and you're ready to go ahead. Because once you exchange a contract and it becomes unconditional, you're going to be penalised if you can't finalise the contract and pay the money. So please make sure that your loans are approved. Secondly, after you've got that, you need to do what's called a pest and building report. Now, if it's a unit, you can get a strata report only, and the strata report itemises in the sinking fund or the administrative fund how much money is in there. Will determine sometimes if there's an issue or a problem with the unit. And you can look to see if there's a big expense coming up or what works they've done or what's needed. With a house, a residential house, you would need a pest and building. The building will identify different, termites, or pest and building, sorry, with termites, but in building, it would be cracks in the walls, rotten wood, or depends what it is, maybe an eaves dropped, or any expenses that are hidden, perhaps, that you can't see. After you've done that, then you've obtained your pest and building and you're satisfied with it, then you can go ahead and proceed with the actual purchase price. A lot of people ask, do I do the pest and building prior to the once you've made the offer, prior to the exchange or post-exchange? Look, I recommend probably you do it post-exchange because you've paid, you've committed, and you've had a good look around. Some people like to do it prior, but a pest and building report can range from about $248 to $450. So sometimes it's better to do it after you've committed, then you know the money's going to your property. And it also makes you aware of what the property is. Once you've obtained that, you need a 5% or 10% deposit on exchange. You can exchange that with the agent or the vendors also sometimes, particularly like their solicitors, to exchange it. You have a 5-day cooling off period just to be sure, to make sure that everything's finalised. And at the end of the 5-day cooling off period, you put your 10%, the balance of your 10% down. So on exchange, remember, you've got to put 1% of 0.25 of the purchase price.
Correct.
So once that's been put down, when at the end of your cooling off period, and statutory it's 5 days, 5 cooling off days, you can extend that or shorten that. What you need to do then is put the balance to make it 10%. The contract then becomes conditional, unconditional at 10%, and you're bound by the contract.
And obviously at an auction, that's completely different.
Well, at an auction is completely different. So if I just step back a moment, also if you purchase a property and you know you want it and you've got your finance done and you've done your pest and building report, you can sign a Section 66W certificate, which then makes the contract binding and it takes it off the market completely and it's yours. In an auction, as soon as you bid and you've exchanged a contract on the day, there is no cooling off period. You waive your rights at an auction and the contract becomes unconditional. So please, if you're going to go for an auction or you're going to bid at an auction, please ensure that you've got your finance all lined up and you're ready to proceed.
Excellent. Is there any things that they should look out for? Have you had a case that you want to share that it was going smoothly and then there was a bit of a speed bump in the proceedings? Is there anything you want to share with that?
Yeah, there's been a recent matter that we had. This was a rural. Actually, this was very interesting. It was a rural matter, and it was land down the south coast. It was with a probate, from a probate sale. And what had actually happened was there was a house on the land. But after further investigation, we found that the house was on the Crown Land easement that had been put there as a covenant, 500 years ago, a long, long time ago. So it was just oblivious. So our purchasers just saw this house on this 300 acres of land as an opportunity. And they just went and bought it, they signed the contracts, and suddenly we had these unconditional contracts. So after further investigation, we found out that in actual fact, the house didn't come with it because the house on the Crown land belonged to the government.
Oh, okay.
So what was my client purchasing?
Yeah.
So then we had to negotiate with the Land Titles Office.
Okay.
And there was a reduction, obviously, from the actual purchase price because we had to pay for the house separately.
Oh, so there was 2 contracts then?
No, it was just a deal done. Yeah, well, it was like similar, but it wasn't actually, it was more the actual easement and right of way got sold to our clients from the council, and it just so happened the house was on it.
Okay. Now, just
so things like that, you've got to be very, very careful.
And just for the viewers, just explain to them what an easement is, if you can, in a brief description.
An easement. Some lands are affected. And they can be affected by easements or covenants, and it's actually a benefit. So, for example, an easement might be a right of way. So, if you buy 2 properties, and say the left-hand property is landlocked, but for an easement, so at the back there's an easement that enters into that property, that's a right of way. So you've got to be sometimes wary of it because it's shared. It's not an ownership, it's a right that you have to obtain access. So it's a benefit to your land.
And the more common one, I think, or maybe a lot of the purchasers and vendors have come across, is the easements as regards to stormwater that's accessible by the electricity company and also by
City water.
City water.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's some, and you've got to be careful that when you buy your house, that the house is not actually built on the sewer line. The easement of the sewer line, or built on the stormwater. And these are all easements. If you do not have a particular letter that says that you're allowed to build over these utilities, then they can come in any time and dig your house up.
Yeah, and not knowing.
And not knowing that. That's why you come and we check it out, and we make sure that everything's okay, because it's a big investment, it's a large investment, and it's a dream. A home's a dream.
And I understand, just from past experience, if you were to build or block the easement, be which whatever one it is, and that person or government body comes to work on that, they can rip up that structure at your cost.
They can.
And leave a dirty big hole there, and then you have to just look after it yourself.
They can. It's very true. They can. So that's why you have to be very careful when you look through the contract. Another thing I think that I'd like to bring to the viewers' attention is sometimes you can buy units or that have separate garages.
Yeah.
And the titles are different. And so many times we see contracts that come to us where the other side doesn't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be really careful with your entitlements of a unit to make sure that the unit is attached, or if it's not, that it has a separate title.
Okay. And if for those investors that are looking at units, is there a quick way just to determine that, or just would you just make sure that they go see the solicitor?
Make sure that you go and see a solicitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, touching on units now for the purchasers, we've got different titles as well. We've got a company title as well.
That's right. When you're buying a unit, depending on what area you buy in, you can buy a strata unit, and a strata unit is you own the space in the walls of the strata unit. You don't actually own the common area. The common area is your walls. You own the space within the walls. Strata units, you pay for the levies and you pay for the council rates, and that's your property. Now, you are free to sell that as you wish. There is also company title, and you'll find a lot of company title in Maroubra, eastern suburbs, Tempe, Pyrmont, and it's basically, Potts Point's another big one, it's a company that actually owns the unit, and you're actually buying a share in the company, and that share has an entitlement to that particular unit. So that's a little bit different, because then you've got company law and you've got a constitution that you have to comply with instead of the normal bylaws of a strata body.
Okay, and I've had a lot of people shy away from company titles. They are quite safe to purchase as an investment, but they are structured differently, obviously.
Very structured, very differently. They are safe. Not all banks lend on them.
Yep. Okay.
But it's still an ownership.
Yeah.
It's just that you own the shares that have the entitlement to that. To that unit. It's nothing to be scared of.
No.
It's definitely a property, it's definitely, brick and mortar, it's definitely a safe buy, but usually they sell for about 10 to 15% less than what you would acquire a strata unit for, and I think only because of the fear.
Yeah. Excellent. And is there anything that we might have to disclose towards a sale that vendors might not be aware of, or that are guessing for their sale of the house if they're scared to put on the market? Is there anything that they need to disclose?
Well, they just need to disclose if they've got a swimming pool and it's illegal, or if they've got a structure and it's about to fall down. Yeah. You need to disclose these things, especially to your solicitor, because surprises are not really are really hard to get around. You need to be very frank and very open. Or if it's a divorce case, we need to know these things, because then court orders come into play as well.
Because I remember, especially around Sylvania Waters, because all the pools were built without the fences, and I think the law was passed in the 80s or 90s.
That's right.
That they have to be fenced, legal fences.
That's right.
So that's something that we have to bring to the vendors' attention as well if they've got swimming pools.
That's definitely.
Excellent. Well, there's a lot of tips there, guys. I hope that was informative for you. If you need any more information, please contact Judy. Judy, how can they get in touch with you? They can get in touch with me on 9599 3739. Ask for myself or Jamie Anton, and we will be more than happy to help you. Excellent. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Judy. Thank you.